last quick thing, which is I want to kind of explain the conversion stuff over here on the top right. So here's the design. So basically you have what is your sampler setting of choice. Right now I got, the 900, 950, 1000, and the 3000. This should, XL and non-XL is the same for our purposes. And then wave writer is just to convert to wave files to flatten the audio. I might be able to hit the MPC 60 and or maybe the S500 to 6000 later. We'll see. It depends on if I can get my hands on them, or at least the images to try to map out, but we'll see. But anyways, you pick the drop down, pick your sampler of choice. Let's say we'll go with the 1100, the 1000, that's fine. This button here, this is the output. So where do you want to output it? It should remember the last photo that you had, so you don't have to keep clicking on it every time. So I'm gonna output it to SCSI, sounds good. And then you could just hit go if you're ready, if that's what you want. Or you hit the little drop down arrow, and this is where you can choose things like, do you want it to be SCSI actually, or you want it to be GoTech. These rate, the sample rate and the bit here, they're automatically going to be chosen from the sampler, but if you want to override it for some reason, you can override it. It may or may not work depending on what the setting that you pick, right? So like I'm giving you the power to screw around with things, but the will default to what it's supposed to do. Of course, you can normalize the audio. You can also trim it. Actually, I got to go back and double check that because I switched part of my conversion engine, so I got to double check, make sure these are still working, but they will be if they're not yet. I'm sorry, not again. If they're broken, I'll fix them. But you can normalize your audio, trim out if there's extra silence, then you can trim it. Disc size, a lot of the stuff you generally just leave as auto, but if you had some weird special something going on and you want to adjust the disc size, that's where you would do it. If you wanted to force the DD format instead of the HD for some reason, potentially could. And if you wanted to add silence, maybe you're making some kind of jungle breaks or something and you wanted a couple extra milliseconds in between each sample, so there is that more just like break in between the hitting the notes. This is where you could add milliseconds in padding there. There's some profile stuff, whatever you could save, delete, update, etc., whatever. But the main thing is, this is where you choose your sampler, you choose your output path, and you hit go, or you can hit the little expansion chevron here to get to the GoTech, SCSI, etc. One thing that I do want to point out, which is there, so like on this pan, we'll see if it still works. Yeah, it looks like I broke that. That's fine. There are certain settings like that should have, there to go. I just didn't refresh the UI, so that's fine. So you see how it's grayed out. It's well, because obviously the S900 and the S950, those are mono samplers. So this doesn't really exist there. I kept it in the UI because for all the other samplers, it's there. Most of the parameters that we have are true across the board through all the samplers. However, there are some nuances, like how many velocity layers you can have and things like that. So there are some differences, and as much as possible, I have the system, lock you down to the parameters and the options that you are allowed to do for that target sampler. So choosing your target sampler here is going to be important for when you start trying to do all your adjustments. You want to know which one are you trying to go to, because that's going to give you the correct options. So hope that helps.